Vizuna, in order to defeat these skull spiders, we have to power me up. Come on, you know what to do!
You got it, Torliwa. But what do I do to power you up?
Your clothes. Give them to me. Now.
What the?
Hello everyone, and welcome to a Remixed Review. Today we're taking a look at every alternate and combination model released for BIONICLE during the year 2015. As usual, this will all be per my personal opinion and experience with these combo and alternate models, and if you're interested in joining in more of the fun conversation, head on over to the TTV message boards at board.ttvchannel.com. You need to be 13 years or older and read the rules and you'll have a good time. So first and foremost, I do apologize for how long it took to get this video out. I ran into some significant computer issues which started late September and lasted until nearly well into November. So I apologize, there was really nothing I could do, and I've been busy with a ton of very large, potentially fantastic projects. With that all out of the way though, let's get started. I want to go ahead and get these 2015 power-up combiner models out of the way, because they're not too intense, and I don't have a lot to say about them. So let's start off with Tahu and the Protector Fire, and Remix. So this one is fine. You just take the weapons off of Narmoto and you give him the Tahu. I do like that Tahu has a kind of fire punch effect. That's really neat. But other than that, it's just Tahu with some add-ons. Next, Kakaka and Izator. And Remix. Same deal. It's just Kakaka with Izator's weapons, though unusually there is a bit of deconstruction for the weapons a little bit. It's the most involved, I'd say, aside from Galleys of these. That's fine. Not thrilled that they took his massive shield away, though, but whatever. Next up, Liwa and Vizuna. Go ahead and take them, and Remix. Again, it's just Liwa with Vizuna's weapons. Literally just everything cool from Vizuna, added it on the Liwa, with some extra armor. Not really anything too exciting. Next. Now for Pohatu and Nilku. Take these two and Remix. Same as before. It's just Pohatu with some extra armor and Nilku's weapons. And boomerangs on his feet. Nothing else. Next. Now for Onua and Korgo. Take these two and Remix. Second verse, same as the first. And the one before that. And the one before that. It's just Onua with Korgo's weapons and armor. That's it. Let's move on. Finally, Galley and Kivoda. We're going to go ahead and take these two and Remix. Now, this is the most involved of all these powered-up modes. Galley actually has some form of deconstruction happen. You've got a much larger kind of cannon thing from Kivoda, and you opt to switch out Galley's armor pieces for Kivoda's kind of turbines. And you do have something that you attach onto the back. So, it's fine. I don't like it more than either of the individual sets. I don't think it's a great upgrade, but it exists, it's fine. Not something I'm really going to recommend. Okay, with those out of the way, let's get into two Toa that have actually been powered up some. We're going to start with Tahu and Narmoto again, so we'll take these two and Remix! So this is called Special Tahu, and I actually like this one quite a decent amount. It's definitely a lot more involved of a build. You actually have to take most of Narmoto apart to make this, so it's more of a proper combination model, though Tahu is more or less unchanged. You do have this kind of neat armor situation going on around his head. The weapons are kind of neat, though I'm not thrilled about the lack of articulation in his wrists at this point. The cannon and its placement, it's fine, it's not a great big thing. One of the more interesting aspects is that his swords, his gold swords, they are no longer up top, they're more kind of like a waist cape situation. They're down below. Not as thrilled with that, but they are what they are. Overall, though, this is a much better powered-up mode, and one that I would have rather have seen as opposed to the actual powered-up mode. I like it. It's not too grievously offensive, so let's go ahead and move on. Now we're going to take Kakaka and Izator once again and remix. This is special Kakaka. The instructions for this was a club code included in the LEGO Club magazine from March to April of 2015. And this is actually really cool. I really like this one. Of all the powered up or special alternate models, this is my favorite. So this, you really have to disassemble Izator, and you actually mostly have to disassemble Kakaka and then reassemble him, because the armor is nearly completely different. He's got these huge wings that used to be the shields, and you can articulate them. I think that's super awesome. One thing I'm not the biggest fan of on this would be the weapons. They're really just Izator's, which I guess is fine, but you take part of Kakaka's spear and you put it on his back, which also kind of weird. It's got a lot of weaponry, and I'm not really sure why. But that's a very minor nitpick. Overall, though, I think this keeps the aesthetic of Kakaka while adding something else that makes it special Kakaka. It's really cool. I like the silhouette. I really like how it looks. I would actually kind of recommend trying this out. Build it once or twice, and I think you'll have a good time. I'm going to take this quick moment to mention there technically is a special Onua as well. At least one kind of sort of appeared in the online, or not online, but the mobile game for BIONICLE in 2015. I'm not going to build it because I don't have instructions. They weren't properly released, and I don't think, based on how it looks, I'm going to have a whole lot to say on it. So it exists. I'll show it to you. You can probably reverse engineer it. I'm just not going to. Moving on, let's go ahead and take these 3 skull villains, take them all, and remix! So this is called Powered Up Skull Warrior. I'll be honest, I'm really not the biggest fan of it. It's a whole slew of colors, and that was never going to be avoided. What I do like about it would be some of the build techniques. I think that while simplistic, they're effective. You've got a lot of intimidation from this model. The legs are really cool, if a bit stocky. The arms, I'm a sucker for 4 arms. My favorite Star Wars character is General Grievous, because he's got 4 arms and 4 lightsabers, and that's awesome. So this kind of invokes that a little bit. And I think that, all of the horns and the spikes coming off of it are really cool. Outside of that, though, it's a large mess of colors. It's large and intimidating, sure, but honestly, it's not too memorable to me. I'm not really going to look back and say, yeah, no, that one really stuck out. It just kind of exists. So if you want to have some fun and have a different model, something else to add to your collection, you can make this, but I'm not going to readily recommend it to people. And finally, we're going to go ahead and take the rest of the 2015 sets, with the exception of Loss. Rest in pieces, Loss. And we're going to mix them up. So let's take these 2 and remix! Okay, this is what I was looking for. This is actually really cool. So this is not only a proper combination model, it's a really, really good build in my opinion. I love this leg design a lot. It's really awesome. I love how it was built. The only thing that dampens it, in my opinion, are these kind of skull bone pieces in the back. Those kind of restrict articulation to somewhat of a reasonable degree. Kind of reminds me of Tuma in a way. But aside from that, I really like how these legs turned out. Upward from that, it's still mostly fine. We do have some light blue and gold, which I'm lukewarm about, but they're not the biggest issue. Weapon-wise, I think that the weapon in his left hand, the axe blade thing, kind of forgettable. I don't know why it's there. But the other weapon has a function. You can kind of squeeze these 2 axles here, and the blade will open up and close when you release them. It's very reminiscent of Skull Scorpio's actual tail function, which is fine, but it's in kind of like a staff, and that's kind of neat. On the back, you have these kind of large bone wings, which is really cool. They go up and down, so you can fold them down in a way, kind of like a waist cape of sorts, and you can bring them up for that intimidation factor. All in all, this one really impressed me. I quite enjoyed it. It's very reminiscent of Umrak the Hunter from 2016, so I'm kind of preferential to it. I definitely recommend trying to give this a build. It's a lot of fun, and I don't think that you will regret it. And finally, before I end this review, since I've gone over all of them, I would like to let everyone know that they're all not canon. They have no in-story appearances throughout 2015, none of them whatsoever. I don't know if that was ever planned, but they don't, and as such are considered non-canon. And that about does it. That wraps up 2015. I think overall it's kind of a lame duck of a year. There's really not a lot going on, with the exception of 4 combo models, only 3 of which I'm somewhat partial to. I'm not going to really remember this year. The only reason that those other 6 are even considered combos are because 2 sets are required to make them, and even then it's just throwing the weapons from the protectors onto the Toa. It's nothing special. It's nothing I'm going to remember. Overall, meh. Not one of the strongest years for combos. That about does it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, but don't forget to check in next time when we go over BIONICLE 2016. This will be the last Remixed Review. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you all next time. Farewell.